This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Welcome to the Front Porch. Real conversations about life, leadership, and perseverance. Each week, Dennis Polian and Jay Davis bring you inspiring stories and lessons to help you grow, lead, and thrive. Pull up a chair. The conversation starts now.
Welcome to the Front Porch. You know, we're usually, when I'm up seeing y'all, we're usually sitting on the back porch. But today, we got you on the front porch, so welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to do something like this. This is kind of a neat space to get to meet people and maybe share a little bit of my experiences. I hope that I meet expectations. And I got to give props to Bridget. She's 23 years now as a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
Yes. So she's making a good run of it. Yep. And we just celebrated her 2-year anniversary of when she broke her arm and got her plate put in the arm. So that was a nice weekend celebration. So anyways, but it's so great to be here, guys.
Oh, I think it's awesome that you're willing to join us. There's so many things to talk about. This could turn into multiple episodes. We'll bring Joe Fire back. Fire.
That's all we
need. Just Fire. Sorry. I'm the
Wheel
outsider
man.
here. I clearly understand that. I was reading, when you took the test and went into the fire academy, over 30,000 applicants.
Yeah, there was that test was in 95. And they had it at the United Center. It was over 2 different days. It depended upon what you got, what date you were given. You were issued a ticket as if you were going to a ball game. And then you went in and you filled the seats of the United Center, and they gave you like a little board, like just a little piece that you could write on and stuff. And it was a standardized test. And then there was some video portion that I guess was kind of a separator for me, I think, because you had to, they showed you some stuff on the video. If you took good notes, you would take notes about what you saw. And it looked like, to keep it simple, like a bunch of pieces that you see your garden hose connected to. Let's say you had 6 hoses running from one spigot, but they were all different colors, and it was this did this and this did that. So, but it was wild. And I didn't think about it at the time of it being wild. You just went, you signed up, you took the test, and that was it. And
so when you walked into that environment, was it an environment you were expecting? If you think about that today, like if you're not prepared for that, if there's no like give a shit factor, for lack of a better phrase, how somebody at your age at that time may
I was
deal with
I was
that.
19, so I just made the age by a few months. You had to be 19 to take it. And to answer your question, I think being 19 was probably the best thing that I had going for me in that test, was not having any expectations of anything, or like just kind of walking in and saying, well, I kind of based it when I went and sat in my section. I just kind of looked around my section. I'm like, all right, if I can beat 8 or 10 of these guys in my section, I have a chance to get this job.
And you ended up beating over 28,000, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
Top 5% raw math, right? Yeah. Directionally correct. Which is even more impressive in and of itself. Do you think that mentality you had helped you when you actually went into the academy and started doing the training?
Yes, 100%. The training at the academy was nothing like I'd ever experienced in anything, sport-wise, living-wise. It was just a lot of the training was stuff that you were going to be exposed for not being very good at. You're probably not going to be strong enough for most of the stuff that you were doing. And it was a means to get you to buy into the techniques and methods of how they wanted things done. And it's like I say, like today, present day, I'm far from being the strongest person out there. But the longer that you do your job, the better you get at managing the strength that you have but also figuring out little things that work for you, to make you be a little bit more efficient and to give you a little bit more longevity in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. That's fascinating to me.
That's right up your alley.
It really is.
You've got a follow-up question for that, I know.
I want to know about all of it. I mean, it's and it goes without saying, what you're doing for a career is really a vocation too, and you probably don't get thanked enough. So thank you, even though you're not here in Texas, but you kind of hinted a little bit on things you've never done, things you're probably going to fail at. They know you're going to fail, and they've got a very specific process you're getting ingrained into and kind of repped. Do you feel like you went in there mentally strong? Or at times you were like, I don't know why I signed up for this, or because you were so young and you didn't know any better, you just kind of plowed through it.
I think for me, it's the latter. There's a little bit in it in the middle where, and I think it's by the design of the academy where, you really feel like you're probably inadequate or like you're not cut out for it. But I think that, and I'm basing a lot of this experience on a recent experience I had a few months ago where I got to go back as an instructor, and you kind of see it from a different lens. And really what it was at that time was, it was just like, don't quit, like, just keep going. Like, just keep going. I have vivid memories of being in the drill hall, and like, you would just it felt like you did push-ups all afternoon forever. And then varied hand positions. And then like, you would think that you were done, and then they'd be like, no. And then they would do things deliberately to bust up the count so that you would have to start all over. And I can remember, like, your shoulders and your elbows would give out and like you'd fall to the ground. And then, people would be screaming, but like, as long as you were constantly trying to pick yourself up off the ground, you never really drew anyone's attention. It was the ones that stayed down. And that's kind of all that was all I adopted early on, was like, okay, like, just keep getting up. And that was kind of my mantra when I was down at the academy as an instructor for the one class. Was I just kept telling people as they were running and running and running, just keep going. Don't let them win. Just keep going. And I think that that's a lot of stuff that I've taken through my life outside of the fire department as well. Just keep going.
That was going to be my next question. Because that's so fundamental in everything you're doing now. Do you still fall back on that as basically the foundation, or were there other experiences, other challenges that were like maybe at a different level that either made it better, or you wouldn't have gotten through without that foundation, and because you didn't quit?
Oh, I definitely don't think without that I mean, I don't think I would have without that foundation or that approach to it. I think that my immaturity of being that young, and like just immaturity of like just kind of being stubborn, would have gotten me in trouble at the academy. But I just kind of like a lot of stuff that I've ever done in life, I just kind of looked at it more as a game or a puzzle. And it's like, how do I got to get out of here? And then it's just like, just keep doing this. And then you see other people that are getting yelled at, and it's like, don't do that. And you just kind of try to be, observant of those things and not draw too much attention, and then just keep plugging through. And then just trying to understand like what it was that they want. Now, I'm also going to be honest and say at that time, I don't think that I think the academy is vastly different than what it is now. And the guys that were teaching it, they were doing the best that they could with what they had, but they were old
polite.
school.
That's very polite.
Yeah.
They were old school. And I don't think that there was anything wrong with it, but I do think that, I just think that there's multiple methods that you can get the most out of people, and not everyone you don't get the best out of everyone using the same method.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I feel that way when I'm with Jay. What can I do to get out of here? So I appreciate that I'm not alone in that thinking. I don't want to monopolize this. I'm sure you have.
I feel that way on the golf course with Jay. I feel that way on the golf course.
I'm not good enough to get that invite yet. I think.
It's really interesting. Joe and I have been great friends for 25 years, and we've never, we talk about the politics and kind of the dynamics of the firehouse, but we really don't get. We really, I don't think we've really gotten. Fire Academy, that time there, we kind of talked about some things. It's probably not the same as it was back in the day, right? And we're at that age now where we can say back in the day, right? It's kind of cool, right?
The kids call me Unc, so yeah, call me Unc.
I've got an uncle phrase too, but we can't say it here. But anyway, yeah. So was it? I know we had some conversations kind of about, and it kind of ties into the podcast, but we had some conversations with your time there at the academy that I mean, you're a straight shooter. I mean, there's no BS with you, no matter what it is, really. I mean, we talk about a wide spectrum of things for the time we've been friends, and you don't pull any punches. So, I mean, it's kind of diverting here a little bit, but kind of what was the biggest struggle or the biggest issue you had while you were teaching new recruits?
That's a good question.
I know, I'm shocked. It really is a good question.
You know what? That's a good question. I'm going to try to answer that in a couple of parts. I think the biggest thing for me was probably also one of the more humblings, but also and more humbling things, because I never really looked back like at my career as being like anything. It was my job. That's what I do. Like, very well that I don't talk a lot about work. It's just like you go and you do your job and you go home. But when I was down there, I think I really am proud of my work. I'm proud of the job and my reputation. What I believe is to be a good one. And that really, it kind of like conjured some emotion in me when I was down there. And maybe it's because I'd never really given it much thought. The teaching part of it was awesome for me. I loved it because, Jay,
you're a teacher.
Well, I wish that I really was, but I come from a family of teachers. And if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I probably would be in a classroom teaching, but like skill acquisition, motor skills, like they make fun of me because most of my reading is nonfiction. So like neuroplasticity stuff and like understanding that people don't know what they're doing, and that if they don't get to touch this tool for 2 weeks and you're going to yell at them in 3 weeks, it's like, well, they haven't had it for 2 weeks. So and they didn't know what it was on day one. So let's just cut them some slack. And they're already worried about getting kicked out of here or getting in trouble for something. So let's try to meet them somewhere. That was early on. And for me, that was for those. And early on, I would just kind of give help to everyone. And then as time progressed, for those that I was always available, all of the instructors were available. They would start at 6 a.m. We'd be there at 5. And if they needed any help, we would tell them, hey, let us know. We'll be here. And you'd pull tools out and help them out. The ones that would come and ask for help, I would do anything for. And to this day, like, they could call me, I will do anything for them. There were a few that just had it all figured out and they were going to do it their way. And so you let them. And then at one point, there was one in particular, as we all know, as the story would go, like they had their moment to shine. And I'm not a yeller. I don't yell. I'm not a yeller. And
just the referees.
Well, and I don't yell at them. I don't yell at them. I definitely, it's rage baiting is what the kids call it. Rage bait. I don't yell at them. I don't. I don't know why I get warnings, but like, I don't yell. But no, this kid, he'd had a tough go of it, and he's very headstrong. And I'm not surprised that when I have caught wind recently that he's having a hard time in the firehouse. His task for the day, that he was given, that was what I had been teaching for 4 weeks, and we'd gone over it and over and over it. And I'm not going to step in unless somebody's going to get hurt. I'm going to let you continue to screw it up until you can figure it out. That's the only way that you're going to learn. Well, I let him continue to screw it up for about as long as humanly possible. And then the rest of the drill yard started looking like, what's going on? And then finally I went over and I'm like, what's the problem? And he tried to explain it. And then I said, okay, like, keep trying, take a look at what you're working with. And that's when he turned around and he said, you told me. And then, that's when it kind of got, it was made clear to him that his greatest problem is that he's not open to learning from anybody else, and he's got it all figured out. And that's a succinct version. And that is not the version that other instructors said, oh, I heard that you were yelling, so I had to drop what I was doing to come out to the drill yard to watch, because they're like, if he's yelling, something really must have happened. So those people, you just kind of, and it's the way it is in the firehouse too. Those people are ones that you just, unfortunately, you just isolate. Because you're not going to, there's nothing you're going to do to break through to them. So, but the ones that were there, and now I don't want to take away from all of the great ones. There were so many good candidates that were there, and getting to teach things and share things that you don't even realize that you know, like, you start to kind of look at your job and think, man, I guess I am okay at this. There was some validation, some self-validation down there for me.
When you leave the academy and you're in the firehouse, how much do you do every day in between calls that's very similar to what you're learning? You know, how much are you repping what maybe a young person or even outside of that industry in any business, repping things that people might think are boring but are so critical to what you do to be successful, that then they might go halfway or not pay attention to a little detail or here because they get bored. I imagine you guys have to do those things every day, but how do you keep the new guys or the new people in sync with how critical that can be?
It's another good question. It's a tough part. The tough part about the job is that at the firehouse, my most recent firehouse, it was a busy firehouse. So it's hard to carve out the necessary time for the training. Nationally, fires are down, which is a good thing. I think we would all agree. And, your guys' line of work, like, fires being down is a great thing. And so you are, and a lot of what you learn is by actually, like, going to fires. The day in and day out of repping stuff out for me, in my experience with the guys that would come to our firehouse, it really was just, you try to do something in the morning, and then when you're out on runs that weren't fire runs, they could be EMS runs, they could be, fire alarm runs, whatever. That's when it was a lot of ours was what we call them at the firehouse. They're called table talks. So you would have a lot of conversation with guys when they would come back into the rig and say, hey, let's look at this building. You have a 2-story, you have a 2-flat here. Take a look at the back porches, take a look at where it's located on the block, where it is in relation to the hydrant. Like, how much hose would you need? So much of what we did, I was on an engine company. And so you're leading out hose. So much of leading out hose is being able to really estimate how many feet of hose you need. And then not to get too technical, you have X number of feet on your shoulder, and that you have to figure out where you're going to be able to put all of that hose when you start to drop it for what you're going to be going to go to. So you'll do a little bit of it in the firehouse, but a lot of it was done on the street, because just by the nature of it, if you're doing 20 or 25 runs in a day, you don't have a ton of time where you get to carve it out and say, all right, we have a couple hours we can do this. So it's it's a bit of a challenge at a busier place.
No, that makes sense. There's no way I'd be able to figure out that. I'm not allowed to use the tape measure at home. So
6 houses, Dennis. A city lot's 25 feet wide. So if you got 6 houses, it's 150 feet. I'm sorry. So at least you got a ballpark.
I'm still trying to figure out what neuroplasticity means. So.
I mean, it was a serious point he was making, but I want to interject and say, wow, we just attracted a whole new audience with that term right there.
And everybody's welcome on the porch.
Everybody's welcome. Yeah. We welcome all. And well, I think we got some rockers that have some neuroplasticity to them, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I alluded to it earlier, and it is for. I mean, we know everything about each other, and it's just, we've gotten into politics, into personnel in the fire department. It's things we all go through on a daily basis, and whatever we do for a living, that we have to deal with personalities. So that was kind of Joe and I's conversations were, I wouldn't say we got very in depth with a lot of other things, but a lot of the conversations with the firehouse were, surface level, I would say. Right. But I was putting together questions, and I thought Dennis was going to lead a lot today, and but I mean, dude, you ran into places where people were running out, and I know you don't. I think probably, I don't mean to speak for you, but probably the hardest thing for you is not talking about those places you're running into where people are running out. But if you could speak to kind of, when the bell goes off and it's go time, having a house that's prepared, having a house that that you hop in the rig, whether you're the wheelman or you're in the back seat or whatever's going on, that that everybody in that rig is ready to go and they got your back. Were you ever scared?
Yeah, quite a bit. And in both my positions as a firefighter and as an engineer, different levels of fear, different kind of different things were going through your head. Definitely as a firefighter, in that, but
yeah, sorry.
A lot of the worry, a lot of the fear, I think kind of comes after the fact. Like when you're all done, you're kind of like, oh wow, like this could have been, this could have been bad. This could have been bad. I mean, it's all inherently dangerous work. And who you're working with is huge, to your point about when you're talking about personalities and personnel. Who your bosses are is important. I didn't work. I didn't work at one of the busiest firehouses in the city by no means. So I don't have a million fires. I have plenty of fires that I went to and stuff. But it's like who you're working with gets you more comfortable in what you're doing and kind of trusting in what you're doing. But kind of the reality of that is it's to simply put it, it's a results business. So you either do it or you don't. And like, you don't spend a lot of time thinking about like not doing it. You're just like, I'm going to do this. I laugh. There was a guy that's retired that I laugh about. We went and we were both detailed, which means you're sent to a firehouse that isn't yours because the other house is short and your firehouse is over manpower. But we wound up going to like the 90 something floor of the Sears Tower. And in that instance, they had their maintenance guys were down on met us at street level, and they're like, "Oh no, there's a fire out there." So we're like, "Okay," and this guy that I was detailed with, who's retired now, he's a big jokester, and we've had a lot of laughs. But as we're taking the elevator up, he looks at me and starts laughing and says, "We're going 3 city blocks in the air, like we're going up 3 city blocks long vertically." And there's nothing you can do. So when we get up there, you get off the elevator and then you go up to the next floor. And there's a fire there, whatever. And then and a high rise is a little different because you can't ventilate out the windows. You're not taking windows out of a high rise. Like you're not going to. It's kind of unspoken. It's the last thing you want to do. But then when you get up there and it's out and whatever, and you're looking around, I mean, we're in a radio station. A window wound up getting taken out up there, and 90 some odd floors up in it up in the air and you look out, you're pretty high up there. And then you realize that it was a radio station, and there's tons of power and all kinds of different stuff. And we were probably a couple of feet away from it in one room, that we had no idea that we were near any of these, panels, electrical panels or anything like that. And you just kind of look back and you chuckle about it. But it's just, it is wild to think about, but it's all after the fact for me. I don't, and I guess I probably don't spend a lot of time thinking about it too much. It's just like Jay, well, I mean, my job is my job. There's nothing defining to me. My work doesn't define me. Like I like to think that I'm far more than what my career is.
Yeah. And I think if you're still in a house, I don't think I would ask that question.
Yeah.
In the role you're in now, it's a little easier for me to ask that question, because I don't think you ever want to be, I don't think you ever want to think about that. I mean, I don't care what it is, right? I mean, obviously hitting a golf ball, you and I have a long experience there. Or calling a play on a 4th and 1 with the game on the line. You don't ever really want to think about the other side of it, right? Because that clouds your ability to perform in the moment. And had jotted down some notes today, and I thought, am I crossing the line here? But knowing that, Joe is now, for our audience and our listeners, Joe's now a fire inspector. So
you've officially crossed the line to bureaucrat.
I'm an office guy now. Yeah, I'm an office guy. I sleep at home every night.
Yeah.
It's by far the best. I would say it's the best decision that I've made in my career. It's totally different gig, and
you earned it though too, right?
Yeah, I did. I did.
You earned it.
I want to. Can I go back though to what you were saying? Because to bring Dennis a little bit into this. I mean, from calling a play or pulling the trigger on a tee or whatever, like, we can sit here, if we always think about like what can go wrong. I in my opinion, I just think that takes away from if you're coaching a team, if you're pulling the trigger, or if like you're in my career, let's say you're a firefighter, if all you can think about is all that can go wrong, then I think that you're taking away from your training, your level of execution, the trust that you have in your teammates and yourself. Like, if we just sit and dwell on what can go wrong, I think that you'd just be nothing more than kind of paralyzed in putting yourself out there or taking chances.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I mean, it like goes back to your training and your repetition and your level of preparation, right? In anything, which is a great segue.
Life moves fast, but the unexpected doesn't care about your calendar. At the Polian Agency, we help successful families protect what they've worked so hard to build. From life insurance to smart coverage strategies, we tailor protection that grows with you, so you're prepared for whatever's next. The Polian Agency, where protection meets purpose. Visit PolianAgency.com or call 254-772-1444 to start the conversation.
Welcome back to the Front Porch. We're having an awesome conversation. Kind of lost track of time now, but Joe, not only being a veteran of the Chicago Fire Department, Joe is a longtime assistant basketball coach in the Chicago area, girls' private school, and they built that program really from the ground up, right? And now you are,
since Newt's took over, Coach Bob Newton,
essentially competitive across the state. And I can let you and Jay brag on the stats, but to me, what's fascinating is you're touching lives in so many different directions with the fire department, and then coaching young girls who are really at that phase of the next step in their life. And there's so much that goes into teaching them how to be winners and prepare and compete. To me, that's just so fascinating. And I'm curious about how much of your firefighting experience or and your experience as an engineer and now as an inspector impacts you as a coach, and then how your experience as a coach has impacted you in your day-to-day in the fire department?
Let me take the second part first, because I think that the impact that Regina, Coach Newton, the players that have played for me, the impact that they have made, I don't know that I'll ever be able to really kind of quantify, but I can say that I feel like I am a better listener. I feel like I am I'm more open to other people's ideas as a result of coaching these kids and working with, to keep it simple, working with Bob or Newts. That's our head coach. And the really what these players, and I say like all of our students at Regina, but I don't have that. I have, my daughter is one of them now. But I had 7 seasons. 7 seasons under my belt prior to her even getting to school. I think I'm a different person as a result of being around them and understanding what they needed, and then trying to deliver that. Because I think I look back at where I was in year 1 when Bob brought me on, and I was nothing like who I am today, or the coach that I am today. And I know that I'm a different person in the firehouse as a result of that. I'm just far more open to other ideas, albeit that they might not be right or whatever, but I will try to at least see it from your perspective and where you're coming from. Yeah.
Is that from, it's not really a gender thing, but I know y'all can get a little headstrong in kind of your routine and what you do at the firehouse, but is it, you look back, it started in 16, 17, and here we are now. Is it different personalities? Is it different people that you have to deal with? I mean, I don't say this is a bad thing. It's just a reality of sports nowadays is not only are you dealing with young women, young men and women, you're dealing with, parents too, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Yeah.
and there, no disrespect there. Everybody, I mean,
No.
me, I did junior golf development for years, and everybody thinks they got the next Tiger Woods, right? I'm sure you've run across parents and they should be proud of their kids, right? I'm sure you've run across parents that thought they had the next Caitlin Clark, right? But you know what? There's one thing about Caitlin that makes her so great is she uses the team to her advantage, right? And vice versa.
Yeah. There's something I'm gonna, because I never answered the other part of your question, and I will hit this too because I think it catches both of them. The first one was like, do I bring any of the firehouse stuff or anything that I've learned in my career as a firefighter to the team, and do I bring that in? And I do, yes. There's no question that like there are just some things that are non-negotiables, and we're getting better at being more accountable. But there are certain things that are just non-negotiables. Like, this is the way you do it, and that's what it is. Like, and that's a lot of the firehouse. You do it this way because this is the way we do it. We're not changing it. And the real reason is we're doing it this way because then everyone that comes in here knows that it's done this way. So if that's our standard and we do it that way, that's what we're going to do. The second piece that you were at, I'm sorry, it was about it wasn't a gender piece, but it was, parents and so forth. Yeah. You know what? It's an interesting thing. What makes the firehouse cool is it's a team. You're on a team every day, and everybody's role is a little different each day. Like on an engine company, somebody's assigned it. We're fortunate in Chicago that contractually we get five people on the rig, which is really kind of unheard of nationally. Like every time that anybody's trying to do something, they're taking people off the rig. So for us, On an engine, you have an engineer, you have the officer, you have a person assigned to the hydrant, you have a person that's the pipe. They're on the pipe, so they're on the, well, that's your nozzle, and then you have second up. And those roles change daily. And a lot like being on a team. Well, like, yeah, this is what you're doing today, but the role that your team needs you to play tomorrow is this. I just need you to be a stopper. I don't need you to score. Like, I need you to do this. Or, hey, you know what? We're going to lean on you a little more tonight. Like, we're going to do some things. We're going to get you the ball. We're going to try to get you to get a few more buckets for us. We need to get to the free throw line. We want to try to get somebody in foul trouble. So the roles, sharing of roles and letting people really know what they are for the day, is something I would say that it's definitely connected. It's far more difficult at getting athletes to buy into roles than it is at the firehouse, just because that's just what it is. Everybody, to your point, sees themselves as, and they look at stats, and if they're not scoring, then they're not contributing. And unfortunately, that we all know that's, everybody has a role to play, and there's enough points to go around, but we'd be here for hours talking about that.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
So this is just kind of popped in my head, and this probably was something for a little later, but what's your greatest accomplishment in the firehouse, on the fire department? And what's your greatest accomplishment on the basketball court? And I know that they're not going to be a typical answer.
He had these questions for lightning round, but they're molasses answers, so we can't have them in lightning round.
This is not part of the lightning round. Beat it. Yeah.
Well, go ahead. I can give you the firehouse one. I can give you the firehouse one that in all of my time as an engineer and driving, and I was assigned to a busy house, but even when I was relieving, which meant I was filling in, I kind of only went to busy places. Nobody ever got. I was in one accident, and nobody ever got hurt in the rig that I was driving. And like I drove, and there are times where you're driving fast. You're probably driving a little bit more aggressively than the fire department would like, but when you start to get a little more comfortable in your rig and where you're going and so forth, you do. But there was never a time that I ever drove that rig that I was not aware that there were 4 other people with me, and those 4 other people probably had families and everything else. And so I always drove with them on my mind. They were always my top priority. That I couldn't live with myself if I was driving a rig and something happened to them in a rig that I was driving. So that's probably, I know it's not some crazy heroic answer, but that's the truth. For the team, for basketball, I mean, I think that, I'm going to adopt Nutz's thing and not to be cliche, but like Bob is just this wonderful coach that brought me into something, and he might be the most humble person I've met. And like when I'm with him, you feel like you're standing on the shoulders of a giant. And like you're getting to do all of these things. For me, for the team, the greatest accomplishment, it happened last year, and that was we had a player that I coached. She came back to coach, and so she's coaching the JV. And then we had a second one come back this year, and so she's going to be the assistant JV coach. And it just means a lot that I'm part of something that you never really know how the players feel when they're in it. And you try, and Jay, very well that I try so hard to connect with players and to develop relationships to get the most out of them, because, beating on them doesn't help, but they don't want to disappoint you. If they trust you, they don't want to disappoint you. And they know that they're cared about. That's such a big thing. It's such a big thing in my beliefs, and it's also in Bob's. And so having these kids come back to coach, coming back to a program that they were part of, I think it kind of validates the work that we're putting in.
Yeah, trust at the end of the day is probably the singular word, right? That in anything, if you're leading a team, if you're building a team, if you're a teammate, or colleague, no matter what it is, the people around you have to trust you. You have to trust them, and the only way to do that is and figure out if you can do that is go through your process, do the work. Like, somebody in the coaching industry used to say, do your job or something like that,
Something
just
like
focus
that.
on
Yeah.
That's not working out too well for him right now.
Yeah. I can't comment on that.
I will say to that point is I think one thing that I've noticed about you since you've been coaching, and this is not a negative comment, it's actually a huge compliment, is that, and I think one of the things that's changed, now that you've added coaching to your fire career, is that I think you become a little more, and it's not getting older thing, but I think you become a little more vulnerable. And we can't improve at anything we do. And I don't care if it's at home, if it's some personal crisis that you might have, if it's in business, if you're having issues with your staff, if you're having issues with your team, that we can't improve unless we can be vulnerable, and I think that's in our conversations. And I know that there's times where you were extremely frustrated starting out with Regina. And I know at times it was probably easy to kind of tuck behind and draft off newts, but that's not your style. But you respect Coach. But I think just over the tenure at Regina, I think you become not soft, just vulnerable and willing to listen a little bit more than just being a little headstrong at the firehouse.
It's an interesting comparison too when you look at the two, because at the firehouse, I mean, everybody's an alpha. You kind of have to be, right? Like
Right.
I mean, everybody is, and then everybody sees that vulnerability as being some type of a some type of a flaw.
Well, they're going to pound on it too if they
will.
see that. Yeah,
they will, and I believe me, and I'm one that'd be right front and center. I've done it. But I would say too, like, and this would, you're onto something there, because I would say, like, the guys that I work with now would probably say, like, yeah, I mean, I'm can be difficult to work with because there's just a way to do it, and it's how I was taught, and
you're old school. That's for
I
sure.
am, and I never want it. It never goes in the firehouse. It never gets to the boss. Like, you leave it, it stays with the four guys. The boss, you only go to the boss when you have a real problem, and
Right.
real problems are like real problems.
Right.
You never go to the boss with anything. And I've gotten better at, like, getting guys to understand that. And then, but the vulnerability side of that is, I think it kind of just changed for me. Coaching was definitely a big part of it, but I think also family wise, as your kids start to get a little bit bigger, and you start to look at your life a little bit more, and you start to kind of prioritize a little bit differently, and you look and see that, being vulnerable is like the best possible way that you can go through life, because feeling is everything. And you're going to screw up. You're going to get hurt. You're going to make a fool of yourself. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Like, I've sent, every once in a while, I'll send Judy, who's my daughter that now plays for me, a video of her, like, shooting a layup when she was 5 or 6 years old. She's like, oh my gosh, that looks so awful. And I'm like, yeah, just imagine if we would have stopped you from doing it because you look terrible doing it. Right. Like, whatever. Like, I just, and so I guess I guess you mature and you're like, I don't care. I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to be wrong a lot. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. Like, I'm good. I'm good with who I am for being wrong. If I'm trying to be right for the correct reasons.
Right.
The best thing is that, and you please tell me what you think of this thought, if you agree or not. Jay didn't say it was because you're getting older, because he's much older than you and I, but
Facts.
That's a lightning round.
We're in the
By
same
the way.
we're in the same maturity wheelhouse, I would say.
I don't know about
But
that.
I've always felt like vulnerability is like a marketing word that can be weaponized, negative or positive. And the way I look at it is, it's really just a combination of being mature, honest, and self-aware. And if you're that way, you can still be an alpha and be vulnerable. You can still be right. You can still be a great listener. And
Joe's taking notes.
Oh man,
that was profound.
What an honor.
He's taking notes.
But I really believe you can, because no matter how old the person is you're working with, no matter what their experience level, this generation coming up is different experience, different backgrounds, different educational experiences, all of that. You've got to communicate. You used the term earlier, Joe, meet them where they're at. You got to communicate in a way that they hear. It's not what you say, it's how they hear it. And
yes, absolutely.
You can't do that unless you're quote unquote vulnerable, which I think is misused often, because you can build so much trust with somebody in your firehouse because you listened to them and you shared an experience you might not. That makes you more alpha than anybody else, because you can still go run into a building when everybody else is running out. So how did all of a sudden you became soft because you're vulnerable? You still ran into the building, right? You still took a program and built it into a state contender. You still opened these people's worlds up, right? I mean, there's nothing soft about that, in my opinion.
Dennis, I'm going to meet you with that. I'm going to share something that happened early on at Regina that the kids laugh about, and they only really know about it because a sibling of a player of ours was there to witness it. And this was kind of one of the coolest moments for me, when like you talk about being vulnerable and like kind of going in one way and thinking like this is the way you are and how you're supposed to do it. Practice had just gone sideways. Newts was gone, and it was early. I mean, it was probably year 2 or 3, and it really had just kind of lost its way, and the kids were disinterested and they were kind of checked out, and I was frustrated, and I'm sure that they could feel it, and the other assistants were too. And then something happened, and I think the statute of limitations is over for this, but there was like a dead ball play or something, and the ball was bouncing, and I just booted it across the gym against the far wall. And because I was so upset and frustrated. And then I'm like, you know what? We're going to bag it. Like, let's just go. We're good. We'll be dismissed. We'll start this over tomorrow. And then the next day came by, and I was talking to the 2 captains, and I'm like, I just don't understand. Like, why when it's going like that, blah, 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 like, why doesn't anybody like check themselves or whatever? And the 2 girls, they kind of looked, and one of them said, well, why do you let it get that far? Like, why do you let it get to you that much? Like, why don't you do something about it? And I was like, here's 2 16 or 17-year-old kids. They've got pardon me, but they got a great fucking point. Like, who's in charge? Right? You're the guy in charge. So why not just say, hey, stop, guys, we've lost our way. I'm getting really frustrated. Like, we got to figure out how we can make good use of this time. And that sticks with me. They still laugh about that ball going across the gym and getting kicked out of practice, but
it's better than a chair.
It's far better than a chair. But that to the vulnerability piece of it, for me to be able to just kind of sit there and them to say that and not get mad, like, be honest with me, and then say, like, you know what, there's some real truth in that. And I use that to this day about like not letting it get there. And I mean, we have dismissed practice early, but it hasn't been any theatrics or anything like that. It's just been like, listen, we're all wasting each other's time. We're not going to get back on this. Like, let's just get out of here before something bad happens.
Yep. The best part about that is that in 5 years, they're still going to look back on that as a positive, and they're going to share that with people. Right. And then the momentum of just that is whatever they decide to do they're going to be better at it for, right? That's the best part. And everybody forgets it's those little things that lead to winning, that lead to positive results.
And not to segue into like the gender stuff or any of that, but I think if you look at the two roles in that, here are two females that are in their, teenage years speaking to a male that is, I guess, in a position of authority. I never really think of myself as that. Like, I always tell my players, you can call me Coach, you can call me Coach Joe, Coach Fabianski, you can call me Joe. None of those are good. I don't lose any of that. The respect isn't in what you're calling me. Respect is in how we treat each other. And, but for two girls, it's what makes me so proud of the place that I coach at. There's two girls that are going to come up and say, hey, as we're having this conversation, they're captains. They're going to say, well, like, yeah, like you played a piece in this too. And I'm so proud of them for that. And I'm so proud of the girls that come out of there they come out like that. It's just a wonderful thing. It's a positive thing, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No doubt. We got about 6 minutes left.
6?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got to ask this one question, then we'll get to the lightning round. And our lightning round tends to need a walker because we have asked questions that aren't lightning round, but I have lightning round
Jay
questions.
has asked questions that are not lightning round.
But I got this one question for you. Every coach has one speech they would give over and over. What's yours, and would your players roll their eyes if they heard it now? You got a go-to that they're like, oh, come on, coach.
They wouldn't roll their eyes. And I don't have a go-to, but I do believe that I kind of share one every year on the bus at some point in the playoffs. And it's usually at a game that we're going to win. And I don't say that like to diminish our opponents, but it's a game that we're going to win. It's a mismatch. It's early in the playoffs. And I always kind of do it because I want to get the attention of the team. And it tends to kind of tug at what I aim for is heartstrings of like being proud of them. And so we'll talk on the bus before we leave, we'll talk on the bus when we pull up, and I'll say, hey, just give me a second. And I talk about all the things that we've done, and that like, hey, like this could be our last bus ride. And many times you don't get a chance to share things with each other that sometimes it's too late or the moment is gone. And it's important that you guys know that I'm proud of you. Now that's gotten a little more difficult because we have four-year players and three-year players. So it's been a little bit more difficult, but this year, like they just kind of heard early on that they're just going to get coached a little bit harder. And that I believe that this is the team that has the most potential, and it wouldn't be fair for them if I didn't coach them harder. And because that's just out of love.
Yeah, I'm getting fired up. Yeah, I got visions of Hoosiers in my mind.
Well, that's where I was going with this.
We'll be there. We'll be there at the end of January.
What have you all played there? What, 4 years now?
So we go every
Hickory.
other year, and we're going to be this year. We're going to be there at the end of January, and
Hickory, right?
Pardon me?
It's the old gym in Hoosier.
It's the old Hoosier gym. Yeah. It's in Knightstown, Indiana. Yep, it's great.
We need to get the Front Porch on the road.
Yeah.
We
need to get on the bus.
Game.
Huh?
It's pretty cool. Like you can rent it out, and we played a conference opponent down there. We played somebody from Indiana down there. This year, kind of a cool thing that our AD is awesome. Our AD is an Indiana guy. He's just a great guy. He's in it for the kids. He got us. We're playing the team that beat us in the third place game a few years back when we went downstate. And so for our seniors that are graduating, they were sophomores when we did that. So it's a good chance for a little bit of closure for them. Get them right. So we'll be there though. It's an awesome experience if you ever get a chance to check it out. It's so worth it. It's cool. It's just a cool place.
That's awesome.
All right.
So,
lightning round.
All right.
You just got to answer. Otherwise, the clock watcher over here gets all bent out of shape.
Hey, we got to meet certain recs.
Oh my gosh! All right,
we got bills to pay.
Dennis, I'll do my best. We practice with the shot clock, so I'll do my best. Do they have the
All
shot clock? Do they use the shot clock in high school basketball in Texas?
Do we have basketball here?
We do.
I thought it was
Fins and midway, third and fourth.
I didn't know we had basketball here.
Yeah.
But you guys do? They do use it down there?
Yeah,
I know there's a bunch of states that don't. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
good.
All right, private club round or scramble with Dilligaff?
Scramble with Dilligaff. No
right.
question. No question. There's
Spinny,
no rules in that game.
I know. Spinny. I know you'll love this. Spinny, flat driving wedge that checks up, or clutch putt.
Clutch putt.
Oh,
drive
man,
for a
you
show,
love the
putt
spinny
for
wedge.
dough.
You love the spinny wedge.
I do love the spinny wedge, but there's no better feeling. There's no better feeling than making one. And to be honest, I've always said the funniest thing is the ones that go in on the last roll, on the very last roll, they just sound different when they hit the cup.
So for our listeners, real quick, because there's some other golf questions in here. So Joe has an extensive background in golf. Grew up caddying at Bobolink. Has caddied for some of the top amateurs in the country. Caddied for me, professional ranks. So he knows the game very, very well on a level that if Scotty Scheffler called him tomorrow, he could go take Ted Scott's spot. So that's so anyway, and that's the truth, and you know it. So anyway, Masters or U.S. Open?
Masters.
Yep.
No question. Get rid of the USGA.
Practice or play?
After yesterday, I would say practice, but I'm play. I'm at the point now where play.
Mean, for an amateur, isn't practice play?
It is, and now I'm actually I'm getting to play a lot more with John Joe, and so we'll go play 9 holes, and I don't care how bad I play. I just enjoy it. It's something special that we get to have together.
So we didn't talk about this earlier, but you were most of the time in any of your firehouses, you were the cook. Yep. So your favorite meal of the day?
You can't make it in the summer, but it's Polish, oddly enough, and it's breaded pork chops with pierogies that have then been basted and browned in the bacon with their bacon grease, homemade applesauce, some Polish sausage, and then you got to have good mustard, and then you have to have sour cream to go with it. But that's like an ultimate cold weather firehouse meal. It's just
that's making me want right now some Polish sausage seared in brown sugar.
Oof. There is a little bit that we do to the breaded pork, to the chops when they're tenderized and they're breaded. After they've been fried, you take them out, you clean out your pan, and then you'll throw vinegar in there, and you'll kind of flash them in vinegar for a couple of minutes, both sides.
Oh wow.
It's a game changer.
That sounds good.
Well, and then we don't. Nobody knew it, but we just started a cooking show.
Maybe maybe we can get Pivovar on here.
Yeah.
All right. Last question.
No.
Yeah,
I got some funny ones. We're
on the clock. We are.
Greatest thing about being an engineer or wheelman. Think about it. What is your most fun thing to do when you're the wheelman?
Blocking traffic. I love it.
Love it. All
right.
It.
Blocking traffic.
More important. All right. Think Dilligaff. Is it more important to have the bag of essentials or ice cold bullets?
Ice cold bullets.
Whoa, Ewing's not going to be happy about that.
I can manage him though. I can manage that. Ice cold bullets can help him manage.
Sarazen, Old Tom Morris, or Davis? Who's the oldest and who has the best stories?
Well, both of those guys both caddied for you.
I have to cut it. We have to cut all this. Nobody knows who these people are.
No, they do. There's people that do. They're gonna love this.
We know that Gene Saracen was your caddy. He was a kid.
I got 3 more. Fire uniform or seersucker sport coat and white bucks?
Oh, seersucker.
Yeah.
My kind
that
of guy,
was for
right?
you. That was for you.
Yeah.
Open gym or summer evening in Michigan? That's a tough one, I know.
Open gym.
Open. Oh, wow. Huh?
I respect that.
I love the gym.
Pop the collar or buttoned up?
Oh, you got to pop it.
Denny.
You gotta pop it. Listen, you got to
What
act
are you
like you've
doing
been
on
there.
Saturday?
Dennis,
Come
it's all
by
right.
and
It's all right.
mow
You
my
come up here,
lawn.
Dennis, I'll take you around. You come up here, I'll take you around. You'll be okay.
Hole in one or course record?
Course record.
All right. And we'd be remiss if we did not ask this question of a Chicago native. Pizza. Is it deep dish or thin and crispy?
I like thin and crispy, personally.
Oh, I dig that.
Yep.
I actually have one.
You got
Cubs or White Sox?
Oh.
Cubs.
Yeah.
Good man.
Cubs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things. I worked at that firehouse across the street for 6 years.
Across the street from Wrigley. Yep.
Right across from Wrigley, and my White Sox frustration is, as a past fan, is Jerry Reinsdorf. It's just a frustrating thing with ownership. So
I hear you there.
So one more thing, and I'll let Dennis wrap it up. But
Yeah.
I love you, brother. Love you, Bridget. Love you, Terry. Love you, Judy. Love you, John Joe. Love you, Rowan. Love you, Reese. It's all yours.
Joe, I can't thank you enough. I can't wait to meet you in person. Really appreciate you coming on. I have been a lifelong Mets fan. I think after yesterday, I might adopt the Cubs with you and my oldest brother, Chris, who's a lifelong Cubs fan. Appreciate everybody listening to another episode of The Front Porch. Can't wait to see you again soon.
Thank you for joining us on the Front Porch. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow, share, and leave a review so more people can join the conversation. Until next time, keep showing up, keep leading strong, and we'll see you back on the porch soon.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.